At this moment, at this moment, a manager walked forward and whispered something into Shi Qian's ears. Shi Qian trembled and said, "It's a bit sudden. The people from 9 Business Union have simultaneously suggested adjusting the auction price and have them replace all the spirit treasures that were originally being auctioned. Seems like the people from the 9 Business Union are also preparing to get serious. Give them a little time to adjust. Let's wait and see." The heat was gone. The 9 Business Union was crushed by the Feng Yuan Merchant Union twice, in another secret room. Too arrogant. That brat is too arrogant. It's not that he's arrogant. It's that the Feng Yuan Merchant Union is arrogant. I didn't expect to get their hands on something that we've never seen before. And it's also because of this that it caused such a sensation. I can't even stand the power of a steel monster. We'll be discussing this first. The second round of the auction is about to begin. How should we deal with him? The 9 Business Union joined forces. These 9 people were all part of the merchant union. Jin Sanyuan said, using ordinary things would not cause much of a blow to the fountain of commerce. I suggest that it's time to take out some good stuff. Didn't he declare war on our 9 Business Union? Then let him know the power of our 9 Business Union. The big boss of the Thunder Merchant Union immediately said, "You're right, we can't let him continue acting so arrogantly. I've already sent someone to prepare it. They will be here soon. I've transferred a piece of immortal stage divine equipment over. If I don't show him some colors, I won't believe in the forest." Next, the big bosses of the Merchant Union expressed their opinions one after another. Moreover, they were all preparing quickly. No doubt about it. They had been angered by Long Fei. This was the first time this had happened. The Feng Yuan Merchant Union dared to declare war on the 9 Business Union, but there was only one outcome: death. Fu Tianlong laughed complacently. "Brat, you're still too inexperienced. Declaring war on the 9 Business Union is simply courting death." "Big brother, this is going to be fun." "It's more than fun. I think he's going to be played to death this time. Fu Shishan is dead for sure." "Ha ha ha. Tian, this time." Murong Fenglei's brows tightened and said faintly, "It's not easy to deal with them." The auction ended. 5,000 fairy stones were no longer a problem, so the matters of the God Emperor Academy would naturally be resolved. Furthermore, as the influence of the Feng Yuan Merchant Union increased, even that master of his would probably not dare to move recklessly. The Feng Yuan Merchant Union shocked the elders of the God Emperor Academy. It would definitely be protected. Murong Tian frowned and said, "Father, I'm going out for a while." Murong Fenglei was startled. Murong Tian did not say anything and quietly walked to a corner of the arena. A middle-aged man, dressed in black, leaned against the wall. There was no aura on his body. Murong Tian stood in front of him and said slightly, "Black Shark Faction Lord, are you willing to do business with these few thousand fairy stones?" The man gently lifted his head, grinned, and said, "Murong Tian, you called me in just for these words." Murong Tian laughed sinisterly. The middle-aged man's eyes shone with a cold light, and he began to excitedly laugh. "This is Murong Tian's trump card. Black Shark Faction, God Emperor City's #1 gang. And also, Black Shark's strength was extremely strong. He had already reached the Berserk Immortal Peak realm, an unrivaled existence under the virtual immortals. Other than him, a group of assassins of the same level also came to Black Shark Faction. This was the strongest power of the Black Shark Faction. Murong Tian was worried that the Feng Yuan Merchant Union would retaliate. After all, they were from the 10 commercial alliances and would have some background. However, after this, the Feng Yuan Merchant Union would be robbed, and everyone would die. This way, Murong Tian looked at room number 13 in the distance, his mouth revealing a cold smile. Long Fei, are you going to fight with me? Humph, humph, you really are qualified. Ha ha. In another place, a place where no one had noticed, at the top of the auction, a young lady wearing a veil sat on the roof. Her two slender legs were swaying, and she giggled. Interesting. It's getting more and more interesting. Her gaze was fixated on Long Fei. In room number 1, a disciple walked in and said, "The people from Black Shark faction want to take action." Huh. Can't wait so soon. Don't worry. Disciple obeys. With that, he left. It seems like the young lord is in danger this time. With us here, who would dare to touch a single hair on his head? Black Shark faction? Humph, this Black Shark is really taking itself seriously. Previously, the reason he didn't move is because he doesn't have anything to do with us. Then prepare to disappear from this world. There were 2 old men in room number 1. If Long Fei was here, he would definitely recognize one of them, the old man from the Yuling Island, the one who brought God, Water King Kong, Lin Yuxing into the God Emperor Academy. He was the former principal of the God Emperor Academy. His name is Long Fei, young master. Everything seemed calm, but there was a surging undercurrent and a roaring sea. The atmosphere in the hall had changed. However, Fu Shishan and the others did not sense it, and neither did Long Fei sense that a big net was flying towards him. Half an hour later, Shi Qian walked back onto the stage and lightly said, "We can finally start. I can't even wait any longer. I believe you guys are the same." Now, conducting the second round of the Soul Treasure auction. The first one to go on stage is the Dodge Merchant Union. While they were talking, an old man from the Dodge Merchant Union walked onto the stage. Behind him were 8 people. The 8 of them were carrying something heavy, something very heavy. The 8 robust men found this a bit unbearable. His body continued to tremble uncontrollably. The old man said slightly, "This item is the Primal Chaos Bells grade, Immortal Stage Divine Equipment. The starting price is..." The old man turned and looked at Shi Qian. What was the highest level that the Feng Yuan Merchant Union produced just now? Shi Qian was startled and said, 3,000 fairy stones. The old man laughed disdainfully and said, "The starting bid will be 3,000 fairy stones." As soon as he finished, the old man walked to the shelf that was covered by red cloth and flipped it open. Whong! An explosive sound rang out, and the buzzing sound caused everyone's eardrums to become numb. Even the experts revealed painful expressions. After the old man finished speaking, he looked at Long Fei, who was not far away, and coldly laughed. "Even you accompanied us to declare war? Brat, you're too weak. Do you understand? Primordial Chaos Bell, the treasure of the Dodge Merchant Union in the God Emperor City. They just arrived. They didn't want to participate in the auction, but he wanted to make the arrogant Long Fei pay the price. Table of contents. He wanted to crush the Feng Yuan Merchant Union." Long Fei did not speak. Yan Huang Ancestor said excitedly, "Good stuff." Chapter 4 in the morning, he went up the mountain to offer sacrifices to his ancestors. He missed the time and the code. Today, there would be a 5th chapter. It was delivered in the afternoon. 8_8419/2356973. Long Fei asked, "How good is it?" Long Fei asked, "How good is it?" Yan Huang Ancestor replied, "Very good." While they were talking, he couldn't help but swallow his saliva, his face full of greed, and muttered, "If you let me eat it, I can help you train at least 10 ghost soldiers." 10. What level? Long Fei casually asked. Yan Huang Ancestor thought for a moment. Spiritual level. Is that so? Long Fei said one sentence and did not speak any further. At this moment, the audience was in an uproar. The primordial chaos bell was not for sale in the Dodge Merchant Union, but in order to suppress Long Fei, they couldn't care less. The 10 commercial alliances fought for one breath. Long Fei declared war on the 9 business union. Who could endure such a thing? I bid 4,000 pills. 6,000. 8,000 fairy stones. I bid 10,000 fairy stones. Immortal stage divine equipment. The levels were completely different, and there were not many even in the entire immortal domain. The 10,000 fairy stones was a sky rank number. However, immortal stage divine equipment were priceless. At this moment, I bid 20,000 fairy stones. An old man wearing a black cloak stood up and called out a price. The entire audience went silent. The price of 20,000 gold coins was simply too high to bear. The old man's eyes flashed with a ray of light. He immediately said, 20,000 pills once. Long Fei laughed. I bid 30,000. The moment Long Fei finished speaking, the entire audience went into an uproar as they all looked at Xiang Long Fei. 30,000 fairy stones. With so many fairy stones as cultivation resources, he could directly rush into the golden immortal rank to the point that no one could stop him. The Yan Huang ancestor was confused. Kid, how can you have so much money? Long Fei did not answer. Long Fei shrugged his shoulders. The old man from the Dodge Merchant Union, "You don't want me to bid?" and said disdainfully, "Such a good worry is naturally worth 80,000 fairy stones. Can you even take out 30,000 fairy stones if you don't want to sell it? What are you going to do with trash from the South Horizon region? Very angry. Can you even take him out? The Dodge Merchant Union, a man in room furious. Number 6, the more furious they were, the more confidence raised his eyes slightly. The old man, remembering that person's appearance, shouted in his mind, 100,000 fairy stones. There was one more person on the death list. Immediately said without even thinking, Long Fei laughed coldly, and said, for the bidding price of 100,000 fairy stones. What if I did? The auction house should be able to draw 5,000 Room number 6 was where the Dodge Merchant Union was located. The corners of Long Fei's mouth drew back. There was only one reason why he was so excited. Long Fei looked at Shi Qian that Long and said, would buy the primordial chaos bell and take out the commission. He wasn't just worried. Count wrongly. He was very worried. 5,000 fairy stones. At this time, the old man said, with the strike of the hammer, Shi Qian Long Fei immediately said, 100,000 fairy stones. The old man from the Dodge Merchant Union stared at Long Fei. Anger was written all over their faces. What a fool! As they shouted, losing 5,000 fairy stones. Are you here to cause trouble? The Dodge Merchant Union must be rich. Ha ha ha! Brat, you. The old man trembled. Long Fei asked, "What's wrong with me?" The old man could not say a single word because he was a mute who had suffered many hardships. But he could not say what the suffering was. The primordial chaos bell was the treasure of their alliance. They definitely could not sell it. The reason they took it out was to crush Long Fei and the Fengyuan Merchant Union. However, no matter how much someone bid, the people inside would always return the price. But they did not expect Long Fei to raise the price so much. 5,000 fairy stones, a year's income. It was gone just like that. Moreover, the loss of 5,000 fairy stones would definitely cause an impact to the God Emperor City's Dodge Merchant Union. At that time, Yan Huang ancestor reacted and said, "Kid, how do you know the person who bid is from the Dodge Merchant Union?" Long Fei laughed. "I guessed." Yan Huang ancestor, what if he doesn't bid and you buy it? What if you can't take out that many fairy stones? Long Fei replied, "I have you, what am I afraid of? At worst I can just sell you." Ha ha. He had never thought of such a thing. The old man wearing a cloak walked onto the stage and crossed paths with the people from the Dodge Merchant Union. At this time, Long Fei saw it very clearly. The primordial chaos bell was taken into the space ring by the cloaked old man. The corner of Long Fei's mouth drew back and said, "Ancestor, plant an aura imprint on his body." Yen, Huang ancestor, became excited. You little rascal! I was going to do that. And then both of them smiled sinisterly at the same time. Ha ha! Bam! At this moment, the sound of a strong impact resounded from room number 6 as a disciple rushed to the window. Grand Elder, the president has fainted. The old man's face darkened, and he hurriedly rushed back. When rushing to Long Fei's side, Long Fei deliberately said, "Playing with yourself, and even making yourself faint. It's really high, too high. That's quite a few stories high. Ha ha ha." The old man's eyes were about to spew fire with anger. The Dodge Merchant Union, almost half disabled, if there was no surprise. The 5,000 fairy stones would have a strong impact on them, causing the capital chain to break. He had no choice but to leave the God Emperor city. First kill. Long Fei smiled in his heart. Shi Qian's face blossomed into a smile, and immediately said, "The next one is the Heavenly River Merchant Union." Tianhe Merchant Union? Where is he? A few minutes later, sweat trickled down the forehead of the people from the Milky Way Merchant Union. They walked to the arena and said, "This is our heavenly sword, a grade 5 immortal war device. Immortal grade 5. To weak right. Is this the great treasure that your Milky Way Merchant Union has launched?" He had to say it. The Milky Way Merchant Union wanted to play the same game as the Dodge Merchant Union, but if Long Fei saw through it, then the thousands of fairy stones would be enough to pay for it. He might as well give up on this round of competition. Not only the Tianhe Merchant Union, but the other merchant union had all changed their plans. The Dodge Merchant Union had been tricked to death. Next, Fengyuan Merchant Union. Long Fei smiled, walked forward, and arrogantly said, "You guys of the Merchant Union are too weak. What kind of rubbish are you guys? It's my turn." Chapter 5. 8_19/2356974. It's him again. It's him again. It's the Fengyuan Merchant Union's turn again. I don't know why, but I'm looking forward to it. Me too. The Long Yang pill allowed Chen Tianfei to instantly break through 2 realms and even made a quick breakthrough in his immortal foundation. If the Long Yang pill was powerful, the appearance of the heaven shaking was even more piercing. To be able to convince the artificers of the God Emperor Academy, what kind of power was this? Once again, Long Fei walked onto the stage. The audience quickly quietened down, and even Shi Qian quietly retreated to the side, handing over the entire stage to Long Fei. Zhou Lian suppressed the excitement in his heart and asked himself, "What are you planning to do this time?" Chen Tianfei, Xiaoying, Man Tuoluo, and the others were all standing on the windowsill looking at the stage. They, too, wanted to know what Long Fei had refined. Shaking the sky excited him to a complete mess. It made Fu Xishan's eyes fill with tears. These 2 items alone were enough for the Fengyuan Merchant Union. They would not be pushed out of the auction anymore, and this auction would definitely be able to hold on. However, Long Fei would not give up. Many people were waiting to see the Fengyuan Merchant Union make a fool of themselves, to see Fu Xishan make a fool of himself, and to see him make a fool of himself. If they did not stomp these people to the ground, then he would not be called Long Fei. Long Fei stood in front of the stage and coughed. The audience immediately quieted down. Long Fei said, "I just said there's more than one steel monster, but since this young master of the wilderness is my friend, I won't be auctioning it off here." "Because he's a friend." Lei looked at Long Fei. and was suddenly moved.
If you can't bring out something
for his
new,
sake, then you're
Long
nothing.
Fei
As
actually
far as
didn't
he was
sell
concerned,
any more steel
the
monster.
reason why
This
Wei
also
Zhenqian
meant
was
that
able
this
to
was
bid a
the
high
only
price
person
was
who
not
possessed
because
the
he was
mighty
powerful,
heaven ability,
but because of his
Lei
domineering
Zhong thought.
appearance.
From today onwards,
it caused people to be
you will be
shocked
my brother.
when they bid
Next,
high prices.
Long Fei said.
Armor
The
and
Feng
Tang
Yuan
Dao
Merchant Union
not
does
at all.
business.
The
If
murmurs
someone
grew
likes
louder.
the steel monster,
Fu
they can go to the
Tianlong
goddess
immediately
Phoenix
laughed.
Pavilion to customize
Shameful.
it.
You
As
have
long as the price is
completely
high,
shamed the
I
Feng
believe I
Yuan
can buy
Merchant
it.
Union.
That's all.
Seeing the discussions
As
of the
soon
crowd,
as Long Fei finished
Long
speaking,
Fei was not
he
in a
changed
hurry
the topic.
to take out the things.
This time,
but
I brought
quietly waited
everyone
for
a
them
set
to
of
calm
armor
down. And
However,
Tang Dao,
he was
armor.
wrong.
The
Blade.
people in the audience
That's
looked
boring,
at him
right?
without saying a word.
That's right.
And the
I
discussion
thought it was
became
something
even
we had
more
never
intense.
seen before.
So
I
it was a
think you
battle
won't be able
armor
to take
and
out
a
the
blade.
steel monster
There's
from before.
nothing
right?
special about it.
Just now,
You were boasting so
I'm
much that
disappointed.
it shook the heavens.
There were quite a
What are
few
you
discussions
saying?
going on
Now,
below the stage.
why don't you take out another
They had
one?
great expectations
Exactly.
for the Feng Yuan
You're just a
Merchant
little
Union,
clown,
wanting to see
the sounds
Long
of people
Fei
being crushed
create an
by
even
Long
more
Fei
novel war
rose
device.
again.
Chen
However,
Xiaoshan once
they
again
had
seen
sneered.
too many armors and
Murong
blades,
Fenglei did the
so
same.
they naturally
A
had
trash
no
is a
interest.
trash.
They will
Jean
never be able to
Sanuan
make it onto the
coldly
stage.
laughed.
You
are
probably
overestimate
at the end of
yourself.
yourself. Fu Xishan started to worry. Seeing that so many people were mocking Long Fei, she wanted to rush down. Chun Tianfei was very unhappy. Damn, if we do not slap their faces, they will become unhappy, right? Xiaoying fumed. This is too despicable. It's always like this. What's wrong with young Master Long and the others? And that Fu Tianlong, look at his disdainful face. Young Master Long is working for the Feng Yuan Merchant Union, but he's acting like this. He's too infuriating. They were unhappy. However, the corner of Long Fei's mouth had a cold smile, and he said, "Have you laughed enough?" As soon as his voice faded, Long Fei looked at Zhou Lian again and said, "Elder, can you do me a favor?" Zhou Lian was extremely interested in Long Fei's mighty heaven, but he was not very interested in Long Fei's armor or Tang Dao. The armor and the blade were his strong points. No matter how powerful he wasn't as powerful as the old man. Zhou Lian smiled faintly, walked up the stage and smiled. "You aren't going to borrow another fairy stones from me this time, are you?" Long Fei laughed. "This time it won't be." At this time, the audience slowly quietened down and looked at Long Fei and Zhou Lian, who were on stage. Long Fei's eyes swept across them and looked at the disdainful and mocking faces, then said incomparably arrogantly, "Open your dog eyes wide and see clearly. I'll let you all know what a battle armor is." "What do you mean, Tang Dao?" As soon as he finished, Long Fei took out a full-body armor from the Space Ring S. The surface of the armor did not look much different from normal armor. Long Fei looked at Zhou Lian and said, "Clan Elder, can I trouble you to wear it?" Zhou Lian looked at this armor that did not
Although
have
he
any
was unwilling,
fluctuation in
he still
aura.
followed suit.
However, when he wanted to wear this piece of armor, he found that he did not know where to put it. It was a bit awkward. He looked for a new way to get in, but still couldn't find a way. Long Fei said, "Elder, the idea's armor will automatically activate." Zhou Lian's heart trembled and thought to himself, another war device with self-sufficient self-awareness. He couldn't wait. The idea moved. And just as Long Fei had said, it was linked to the armor instantly. Crack! Bang! Bang! Kacha! Bang! A series of metal clashing sounds came out. The armor itself activated. Zhou Lian's idea moved once again. Bang! Her knee guards, shoulder caps, and helmets started to merge with Zhou Lian's body, one by one, directly covering his entire body and turning him into a robot. However, it's much stronger than a robot, because the armor was soft. Zhou Lian was excited. "Good fellow." Long Fei then said, "Clan Elder, the idea has connected successfully, releasing your cultivation." Zhou Lian's blood was boiling. He had never seen this kind of war device before. He followed Long Fei's instructions, the idea sank, and released his cultivation. Buzz!
The armor seemed to have been activated, giving birth to a new life. The flowing light in his body was boiling. Every part of him was flowing with powerful energy, and the person who truly felt powerful was Zhou Lian. He was completely dumbstruck. This. Oh my God! Long Fei took out Tang Dao and threw it to Zhou Lian. His body naturally reacted as he took Tang Dao. In an instant, Tang Dao was also activated as the slender body of the blade glowed with a dazzling light. 36O search. Half-floating / equals light war device. Zhou Lian was extremely excited and asked, What is this armor called? No matter how much it costs, I'll buy it all. The corner of Long Fei's mouth drew back as he smiled lightly and said, Alloy armor. Destroy. Chapter 6. Add a chapter. Thank you all for your monthly tickets. 8_8419/2356975. Cultivation resources were indispensable. Fairy stones were extremely important. It was important to other warriors, but it was also important to Long Fei. He needed these fairy stones to let the patriarch nurture the ghost soldiers in the Yellow Springs summoning seal. They were all a pack of hungry wolves, and once they grew, they would release an unstoppable force. Was a ghost scary? Terrifying. How terrifying were those 1,000 ghosts? How terrifying was it that 1,000 ghosts possessed such high power? It was hard to imagine. Long Fei also needed fairy stones. It could be said that no one needed fairy stones more than him. Thus, if he wanted to do the business, he would need to use a large number of fairy stones to nurture the ghost soldiers and the Yan Huang ancestor. Compared to the South Horizon region, the Yan Huang ancestor was far stronger. However, this was not enough. He was only a remnant soul, only a bit larger than before. Long Fei walked into the private room. Just like when an emperor returned, the way Chen Tianfei and the others looked at him was completely different. Fu Xishan looked at Long Fei and muttered, You really changed. You have become far more powerful, and I didn't believe you at the beginning, but now. After more than 3 years, they had not seen each other for nearly 4 years. Fu Xishan did not know what had happened to Long Fei. She thought that Long Fei had pursued the highest level of martial arts training, so she thought that Long Fei's artifact forging alchemy was only at the realm of the South Horizon region. From the looks of it, she was wrong, completely wrong. The big boy in front of him had grown up. It was already possible. Thinking about it, Fu Xishan's cheeks flushed red. Long Fei said, Sis, I haven't changed. I'm still that Long Fei. Xiaoing giggled and said, Young Master Long, you're really too handsome, the kind of handsome that falls victim to dregs. Chen Tianfei also said, He's just weaker than me. Xiaoing stared at Chen Tianfei and said, Fatty, can you not insult the idol in my heart? Do you believe that I won't send you flying with a single punch? Ha ha ha. A wave of joyous laughter sounded out in the room. The third round still had some time before it began. Long Fei was not in a hurry. Long Fei said to Fu Xishan, Sis, Following the explosion of Wei Jintian and the alloy armor, the price of the ores in God Emperor City will multiply by several times. Fu Shishan gave a shallow smile and said, "Don't worry, I have already arranged for people to come. Your sister has some brains." Finished. Fu Shishan squeezed Long Fei until he was almost in Long Fei's lap. His eyes flashed with a charming and moving gaze and said, "You helped Big Sister so much. Is Big Sister going to treat you like this? Speak. What do you want from Elder Sister?" After he finished speaking, Fu Shishan looked at Long Fei lovingly. It was extremely burning, and she didn't hide anything from him, as she emphasized, "You can have anything you want from me." Her breasts pushed forward, very strong. It was very big, very tall, and very cruel. Long Fei was a little unable to hold it in. His Adam's apple tumbled, and he immediately shifted his gaze, saying, "Sis, you're giving it to me to eat, live with me, and even help me solve the danger. In Fireglass City, I just wanted to think about how you saved my grandfather, but at that time you left." Fu Shishan did not give him a chance to continue, and said, "Do you not want Sister to say anything?" That look, that seductive action. He was about to die. Long Fei's heart was like a volcano erupting, and the mature charm that exuded from his body was completely different from Man Tualuo's. Man Tualuo was a domineering Onizen. However, Fu Shishan, on the other hand, was like a hot sister. Long Fei forced himself to calm down and said, "You're my sister. I won't help you with anything. What do I need? I don't need anything. I just want to help you step down those people who want to watch you make fun of them and help you push the Fengyuan Merchant Union to a new peak. That's what I want." He spoke with an awe-inspiring righteousness and a face full of righteousness. There was no evil at all. Of course, this was all an act by Long Fei in a private room with so many people. He couldn't possibly do something that a child wouldn't, right? Fu Shishan stared blankly for a moment, laughed evilly, pushed Long Fei's forehead lightly with his finger, and said, "Brat, consider yourself to have passed. Don't panic." And then, with a flick of her body, she walked to Man Tualuo's side, giggled, and said, "I say he can resist any sort of enticement, so you don't need to worry." Man Tualuo pursed his lips and smiled. Long Fei was startled. "Are you testing me?" However, he secretly wiped away his sweat and muttered, "Luckily I managed to control it. Otherwise, I really am going to be tricked to death by them. However, I have to get rid of the aphrodisiac immortal root poison on Man Tualuo's body. Otherwise, it would be hard for him to break through." Long Fei also knew what the gap in Man Tualuo's heart was. Chun Tianfei leaned at the side, looking like an injured little fatty as he silently squatted in the corner. With tears and snot flowing down his face, he muttered, "A person as handsome as I is someone no one loves, yet he, an unhandsome person, has so many women. Heavens, can't you be a little more fair?" Not waiting for him to finish, Xiaoing punched down. "This will be fair. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha." In another place, "How are your people doing?" Murong Tian asked in a low voice. "Don't worry, room 14, room 12 are all my men. This time, even if they flapped their wings, they won't be able to escape." The undercurrents surged more and more violently. The undercurrents surged more and more violently. The key point was Long Fei didn't know anything. He never thought that the Black Shark faction would appear at the auction site. He never thought that Murong Tian would actually bite onto him like a mad dog and kill him no matter what. He had always been thinking about the Fengyuan Merchant Union. He wanted to crush the other 9 business union. As for everything else, he didn't think too much about it. However, although Long Fei did not think about all these, he was not afraid of anything. Just a few big guys from his space ring could withstand everything. Shi Qian walked onto the stage and said, "The third round of the Special Spirit Treasure Auction is about to begin. There are no restrictions. Regardless of the War Device S, Immortal Roots, or War Pet S, you can proceed with the auction. Let's begin." While they were talking, a staff member walked up and said, "This is an unidentified magic equipment provided by the Thunderbolt Merchant Union. Its properties are unknown, and the materials are unknown. However, it was found in the buried temple of King Buddha. The starting price is 100 fairy stones, and every bid cannot be lower than 10. As soon as his voice faded, there was no reaction from below the stage. The Buddha had appeared before, but now it had already disappeared, just like the dragon domain. However, outside of the Sky Martial Continent, there were also Buddha world existences. Yan Huang Ancestor said, "Buy it." Long Fei walked on the windowsill and called out, 11 pills, no more." He asked in his heart, "Ancestor, what is this called?" Yan Huang Ancestor said, "Haha, this was a demonic Buddha war device. Its power was mediocre, but it has a special function." "What function?" Long Fei immediately asked. Yan Huang Ancestor asked, "Do you know the function of the coffin nail?" Long Fei shook his head. He was a little puzzled and said, "Just say it directly." The Yan Huang Ancestor said, "It can defend against the fusing of the immortal foundation of a martial artist, and will not let you use the power of the immortal foundation. In addition, it has another alias, the immortal foundation spear." Long Fei was stunned. "Damn, this is the best thing I have." Seeing Long Fei's bid, Lei Zhong immediately stood up and said, "My brother wants to buy it. Please give me face. If anyone doesn't give me face, I won't give him any face." He was rich. The young lord of the wilderness was a barbarian. He would treat whoever was good to him. When the young master of the wilderness said this, those who wanted to fight immediately turned cold. 110. 11 times. Deal. Long Fei smiled faintly as his heart blossomed with joy. The spear of the Immortal Foundation. Hee hee. The president of the Thunder Merchant Union was bitter. Just taking this thing out of the underground devil temple would cost him no less than 200 fairy stones. However, right now, he had only 110 of them, which was a huge loss. This was also because he had no other choice. He looked for countless appraisers, but none of them were able to appraise the properties of this nail-like item. And then, the second item. Diamond bracer, starting bid, 15 fairy stones. Begin the auction. Long Fei looked at the wrist guard on the stage and muttered, "Isn't this made specifically for Yuan Ba?" 18 fairy stones. He instantly called out a price. Lei Zhong stood up again and said, "My brother wants to buy it. Please give him some face." He crushed them again. Long Fei bought another one and said to Lei Zhong, "Brother, thank you." Lei Zhong said, "You're welcome." Next, constant auctions were taking place. One could not help but admit that special treasures were being auctioned in a variety of strange and varied ways. It is also the most diverse. The goods were getting better and better, and the price was getting higher and higher. Other than the first 2 times, Long Fei did not attack again. The 13th item. This is a meteorite from outer space. It contains the nature's attribute. Although it is only the size of a fist, it has the weight of 100,000 jin. Shi Qian looked at Zhou Lian and said, "Master, can you do me a small favor?" The reason why Zhou Lian had appeared at the auction venue was because of this meteorite. However, with the alloy armor, he no longer cared about the meteorites anymore. Walking to the stage, he felt around and said, "The weight is not less than 100,000 jin, and the power contained inside the meteorite is also very chaotic. This kind of power does not belong to Sky Martial Continent. He glanced at Shi Qian and did not continue, because the energy contained within this meteorite was too chaotic, and even a master refiner would be unable to control it. The crucial point was that there was a very special energy within the meteorite that was faintly discernible. It was extremely strange. He did not say this out loud. "Kid." Long Fei leaned on the chair. Because he was too tired, he fell asleep. Being called out by the Yan Huang ancestor, he reacted as if he was electrocuted and said, "What's wrong? What happened?" Yan Huang ancestor said, "By that meteorite." Long Fei rubbed his eyes and walked out of the window. Looking at the meteorite on the stage, his gaze suddenly sank. The meteorite was emitting this yellow light. Obviously, it was a quest item. Long Fei immediately called out a price. This time, there were a few people who wanted to bargain with Long Fei, but the thing Long Fei wanted would not let him go: 800 fairy stones. At this moment, Zhou Lian sent out an idea and said, "This meteorite is unable to be refined. The energy inside is too chaotic. Don't be tricked." Long Fei replied, "Thank you," but the price had already been announced, and Long Fei had to obtain this meteorite. "Congratulations to the Feng Yuan Merchant Union." Long Fei handed over the money and looked at the meteorite within the space ring, his eyes trembling. Damn! He's finally appeared. F***CK. It's been 3 whole years, and now there's finally a clue. Long Fei's heart was moved. Item: Heart of Dragon Domain Attribute. Description: Dragon Territories Core. Description 2: You need to unravel the secrets within. Description 3: The secrets of the Dragon Domain are hidden within. Looking for the Dragon Domain. SSS level mission. 10 years of time. It has already been 4 years. These 4 years. I don't even have a clue now. Long Fei was incomparably excited in his heart. This sort of excitement followed the appearance of the Azure Dragon Ancestor. With the evolution of the Dark Ancestor, he was becoming more and more curious as to what secrets the Dragon Domain was hiding. What in the world? What exactly was the relationship between the dragon race and Long family that had disappeared by several million? In here, where exactly did his father, Long Zhanting, go? Everything was a mystery. He wanted to unravel it, and he couldn't wait to do so. Now, he finally found the quest item for the Dragon Domain. As long as he could unravel it, he would be able to find the location of the Dragon Domain. Once he found the Dragon Domain, he would be able to solve all the mysteries within. Floating life, table of contents, no windows, A++ Azure Dragon Ancestor, Patriarch Darkness. At this moment, they were all trembling. Long Fei suppressed the excitement in his heart and asked, "Ancestor, do you have any way to remove it?" Chapter 38_8419/2356978. Explanation? Release it? Explanation? Release it? Yan Huang Ancestor was stumped by Long Fei. He could only feel a very powerful energy coming from this meteor. He had no idea what this meteor was. "I don't know. I'll try." The Yan Huang Ancestor's idea slightly moved, wanting to actually move inside the meteorite, but in that instant, buzz. Yan Huang Ancestor's idea was directly sent flying. "I'll go." What a powerful strength. Yan Huang Ancestor was a little surprised. Following that, the idea surged again, and this time, the strength of his idea increased. Buzz. Boom. This time, his counterforce was even stronger, causing the Yan Huang Ancestor to be unable to endure it. Good heavens, even my idea's power can't move an inch. There must be something very powerful inside. Don't talk nonsense. Long Fei became agitated. He was very clear what kind of Heart of Dragon Domain this meteorite was. He just wanted to unravel it now. It was like a diamond-shaped box. What he wanted was not the power within, but the secrets hidden within, the secrets related to the dragon domain. Yen Huang ancestor seriously replied, "No, F***CK." Because the Yen Huang ancestor had a way, Long Fei was unwilling. "There's no way at all." Yen Huang ancestor replied, "I have never seen this either. Do you think I should remove it? Is it a box? I don't even know how to use mechanisms. How am I supposed to undo it?" Long Fei immediately asked, "Mechanical arts?" In the Sky Martial continent, who knew about mechanical arts? There was no such thing as mechanical skill in the system's gift pack, so Long Fei did not cultivate it either. The Yen Huang ancestor replied, "I am not too sure about that. There are very few people who practice mechanical arts, and it is rare even in the chaos realm. I think it is even rarer here. However, boy, everything is certain. Since this thing is in your hands, there will naturally be a day where it will be undone. Don't worry too much." Long Fei laughed bitterly, determined. "I don't believe in fate. I don't believe in the heavens. I only believe in myself." He did not believe in fixed numbers at all. He had promised Long Quangtian in the underworld that he would find the secret behind the disappearance of the Long family's experts. The appearance of the green dragon tripod gave him a feeling that the Long family and the dragon race were inextricably linked. Perhaps they would be able to find the secret behind the disappearance of the Long family rankers if they could find the dragon domain and the dragon race. This was just a guess. Now, we have a clue: Heart of Dragon domain. How can I unravel it? Even the Yen Huang ancestor couldn't do anything about it, but Long Fei didn't have any clues right now. His heart was moved. If the green dragon tripod was untied by my blood essence before, then would it be the same with my Heart of Dragon domain? Immediately, Long Fei didn't even think as he dripped a drop of his blood essence onto it. Buzz. The Heart of Dragon domain absorbed the blood essence. At this moment, amongst the green dragon tripod, the Azure Dragon ancestor stared fixedly at the Heart of Dragon domain. The same went for the Dark Dragon goddess. They stared at the Heart of Dragon domain without moving, their expressions even more anxious than Long Fei. Suddenly, the meteorite began to tremble. After flashing out a light that was as thin as an ant's rune, a crisp sound rang out. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for unlocking the first layer of Heart of Dragon domain, obtaining Turn Yen Long into God. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 100 experience points for cultivating Turn Yen Long into God. The number of power of Celestial is 100. The reward is 100 points. Skill path: Turn Yen Long into God grade. Dragon domain God level consumption: 1 million power of Celestial. Currently, players cannot use it. Power of Celestial is insufficient. Description: able to instantly transform into the Flame Dragon ancestor. Crack! Long Fei clenched both his fists tightly and read the description of the only cultivation technique. Transformation into the Flame Dragon ancestor. Oh my God! This is so F***king insane. That's not right. The Azure Dragon ancestor called me boss and said that I was a Yuan Long. The Yuan Long is a flame dragon? Or did I hear wrong? Long Fei thought about what the Azure Dragon ancestor had said to him. You are a Yuan Long. Right now, he could not really tell if he was a Yuan Long or a flame dragon. However, he couldn't care less. With this turn Yen Long into God, he would immediately transform into the Flame Dragon ancestor. Long Fei looked at the condition to release this move. 1 million power of Celestial. Are you taking my life? His current power of Celestial value was only slightly over 30,000. 1 million power of Celestial. S was just too much. Big Bro has plenty of time. Wait for me to bring level increase up 1,000,000 power of celestial. It's nothing. Long Fei smiled faintly in his heart when he thought about the scene of him turning into the flame dragon ancestor. He couldn't help but become excited. At this moment, Long Fei once again checked the attributes of the Heart of Dragon domain. Item: Heart of Dragon domain attribute. Grade. Description: the first level of the Heart of Dragon domain has been unlocked. It has a total of 3 levels. Description 2: the S are required to unlock the second layer. Blood of the Sea Dragon King. Holy *T. Where can I get it? Long Fei used his own blood essence to unravel the first layer, but there were still 2 floors left to unravel the Heart of Dragon domain. Dragon King of the Deep Sea. Where to find it? If you want to find the Dragon King of the Deep Sea, you should enter the God Emperor Academy first. The God Emperor Academy has all kinds of mysterious information about the Sky Martial Continent. It contains everything. Maybe I can find some information on the Dragon King of the Deep Sea. God Emperor Academy had 1,000,000 years of history. There were a total of 18 books in the Compendium Pavilion alone, and all of the important matters in the Tianwu continent were recorded. Long Fei thought of the 4 great desolate mountains where ice and fire resided, and thought to himself, I guess I can only find the information about the Dragon King of the Deep Sea before making the plans. In the past, Long Fei was completely baffled by the Dragon Domain mission, and did not have any leads. It was different now. He had finally found the clue. As long as he could unravel the Heart of Dragon domain, he would definitely be able to find the Dragon domain. Once he found the Dragon domain, the Azure Dragon ancestor would speak of everything. In that case, Dragon race, then the secret of the Long family would be solved. Suddenly, Long Fei became excited, secretly clenching his fists. He said, God Emperor Academy. You must enter. Just as Long Fei was thinking about the Heart of Dragon domain, the auction started to turn slightly different. All the people in charge of 9 business union walked onto the stage. The entire venue was moved. What's going on? What's the situation? What do they want to do? No one understood what the people of the 9 business union were trying to do. #half /float * life. It was also at this time. Jin Sanyuan took a step forward. People of the Fengyuan Merchant Union, get out right now. Fu Shishan walked to the window and glanced at the 9 people on stage. His brows tightened as he said, Jin Sanyuan, pay attention when you speak. Jin Sanyuan simply did not care about Fu Shishan's words. With a flick of his finger, he pointed at room 13 and said, tell that trash from the southern domain to come down. Chapter 48_8419/2356979. Man Tualuo's heart tensed up. Young Master Long, be careful. When the old man was still half a step away from Long Fei, boom, 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 the old man's body suddenly sank. 3 incomparably strong pressuring powers rushed into his mind, crushing all the powers in his body. It was instantly destroyed. His mind was shattered. His sea of consciousness had collapsed. His entire person knelt in front of Long Fei. Suddenly, too sudden. However, but Long Fei did not care about all this. From the moment the old man said that he was a trash from the southern domain, he had already entered the list of deaths in his mind. 1 slash, gravity slash, die. The Overlord blade moved, raised it into the air, and slashed down. Jin Sanyuan shouted loudly, Brat, you dare? Long Fei did not even bother to look at him as he slashed his blade downwards. Crack! The head flew into the air. Blood spurted out all over, spraying all over Long Fei's body. His face was drenched in blood. His gaze was locked onto Jin Sanyuan, who was on the stage, and laughed sinisterly. "There is nothing that I do not dare to do." Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing, protector of the family gene union, for obtaining 100 experience points, 400 power of celestial, and 100 energy values. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining fairy stones, S9. Ding! System notification. Experience points completed. System notification. Please fuse with a level 1 immortal root. Otherwise, you will not be able to level up. System notification. Please fuse with a level 1 immortal root. Otherwise, you will not be able to level up. The system sounded out continuously. His experience bar had already risen to 100%, but Long Fei still did not have a blend of fairy vein up until now, so he could not level up all of them. He had an immortal foundation, level 1 immortal root S. There were all kinds of second-level fairy route S, but he had not merged. Once the immortal foundation was fused, it could not be changed. The first immortal foundation, in particular, had to be careful, even though Long Fei had fused with a 9-grade immortal root, God's soul herb. The first immortal foundation was very important, and he was still hesitating. Now, his experience had been filled. How should I choose? Huff. Long Fei exhaled a breath of relief in his heart, looking at the Space Ring S immortal roots. He still had not fused them yet. The Sword immortal roots are not suitable, and the Iron Fist immortal roots are not suitable either. I need my own immortal foundation. He gave up. Jin Sanyuan was incomparable berserk. He roared out, "Brat, you're too presumptuous." It happened so fast that many people didn't even have the time to react, other than the 3 who released their pressure. They were very clear about what had happened. 3 domineering auras. Everyone was shocked by the boldness of a woman. Everyone was shocked by the boldness of a woman. Fu Xishan thought about it simply. If not for Long Fei, the Fengyuan Merchant Union would not have the face to meet people. After today, the God Emperor City would no longer be able to see the Fengyuan Merchant Union. Long Fei gave the Fengyuan Merchant Union life. Long Fei had shouldered everything, and the Fengyuan Merchant Union belonged to him. Then again, Fu Xishan could not see anyone bullying Long Fei, so she did not hesitate at all. Long Fei looked up at Fu Xishan. Fu Xishan said, "Don't be afraid. Big Sis believes in you." Long Fei laughed. "This is crazy." At this moment, as if worried that Fu Xishan would go back on his word, Jin Sanyuan immediately replied, "All right, you said it yourself. No one is forcing you. You should be very clear about this, right?" Fu Xishan said, "Jin Sanyuan, no matter how you wish to gamble, I will accompany you whatever you want to gamble. Even if it's a life wager, I will also accompany you." There was no trace of fear. His strong courage did not lose to any man. At this moment, the entire stands were in an uproar. Gambling with all the glory? This is betting on God Emperor City's market share. Are you crazy? If the Fengyuan Merchant Union loses, then they must completely evacuate the God Emperor City tomorrow. They must not have any reason to stay. Isn't this way too much? Moreover, that little rascal has used up all the good stuff. What else could he possibly bet to win against the Merchant Union? Yeah, I don't get it. At this moment, Fu Tianlong suddenly stood up and shouted, "Fu Xishan, you are not qualified to be the judge of this matter. As one of the persons in charge of the Fengyuan Merchant Union, I will definitely not allow you to do so. Anything else? Only this would not do, because once he lost, he would have nothing left. He had to leave the God Emperor City. Then everything he had done would have been in vain. This was not the result he wanted. He only wanted to push Fu Xishan out of the God Emperor City, but now things were already under his control, if Long Fei lost, he would also lose everything. Fu Shishan snorted coldly and said, Fu Tianlong, you still know that you're an elder of the Fengyuan Merchant Union. Didn't you just mock Long Fei for laughing very happily? Why didn't you say you were an elder of the Fengyuan Merchant Union? Then, now stand out and say all this? You're really funny. Fu Shishan was extremely disgusted with Fu Tianlong and the other two. Ever since she came to the God Emperor city, they had made things difficult for her. And this time, the auction had become even more intense, forcing her to the point that she had no choice but to leave. She was furious. Fu Tianlong frowned and shouted, I just do not agree. Since it's a life wager, then we must first check the striking energy value. Since it's a life wager, then we must first check the striking energy value. It was about to explode. Just wait until Jin Sunyuan's underwear was ripped off. In Long Fei's eyes, the people from the 9 Business Union were not bosses, and their bodies did not shine with the golden light of bosses, but there was another kind of light around them. Rainbow light. This was something that had been discovered when Long Fei was walking up the stage. Beneath their feet, rainbow-colored light was gently rippling. What was this? This is a money giver. It was the most special existence in the game. They weren't strong, and their HP wasn't thick, but they were more powerful than any other boss. It was common for holy artifact to be exposed. Looking at the 9 of them, Long Fei swallowed his saliva as if he was looking at 9 beautiful girls all over. The feeling was only one. Swallowing them all in one go, he had to swallow it. When Jin Sanyuan was about to agree to a life wager, Long Fei conveniently said for them, Do you dare to wager your life? Humph! Do we have to be afraid of you? Bet. Who do you think you are? You are too far from betting your life against us, but you have made this old man extremely unhappy. I will make you pay the price. I made a bet. Bet. Kid, even if you have 9 lives today, it won't be enough to kill you. Ha ha ha. The leaders of 9 Business Union all agreed to gamble their lives. Long Fei laughed in his heart as he thought, Ancestor, if they were to reveal all their items, what realm would you be able to nurture the underworld soldiers in the Yellow Springs summoning seal? The Yen Huang ancestor replied, I don't know about anything else, but I can guarantee one thing, my power will increase by 1 level. F*CK. I don't care how many levels your strength has increased. I just want my ghost soldiers to become stronger. Long Fei scolded, You only know how to care about yourself. Can't you think about it for me? Air. Yen Huang ancestor was startled, then said, All right, I will let all 1,000 Yin soldiers enter the spiritual level, and I don't even need immortal roots, of course. It's better if you have immortal foundation. This thing is delicious. Long Fei. I only know how to eat. It's fortunate that Ice and Fire and Xiaobai are not here. Otherwise, it would really be too difficult to cultivate Yin soldiers. Long Fei rejoiced secretly. 3 foodies can eat him up. However, now, it was not just the 3 foodies, but more than 1,000 foodies. What a miserable life. Jin Sanyuan gave a cold laugh as he said, Kid, let's begin. Long Fei said, How do I compete? 3 things? Or how do we compete? He really didn't understand this. And then Long Fei added and said, I was the one who gang up on all 9 of you. The big boss of the Dodge Merchant Union immediately shouted, Brat, you are too arrogant. Long Fei said, I am arrogant. What can you do? The face of the leader of the Dodge Merchant Union darkened. His eyebrows tightened, and his eyes looked like he was about to eat someone. Jin Sanyuan laughed. Are you saying that you are fighting against 9 of us alone? As long as anyone wins, that's our score? Long Fei said, You understand things very well. You really have a bit of a brain. The corners of Jin Sunyuan's eyes twitched as he laughed coldly. Brat, later on, you won't even know how you died. Too arrogant. Taking over the 9 business union by himself. If this isn't seeking death, then what is? What the hell is he thinking? Does he think that the things he has on him are better than those of the 9 business union? Is he crazy? He didn't choose the duel and chose to gang up on us. I think either he's crazy or he's just courting death. Too arrogant. He was quite arrogant. No one knew what Long Fei was thinking. Equals semi/floating life plus. Fu Xishan didn't know either, but she was even more worried. She gripped the railing of the window with both hands, feeling an incomparable sense of worry. Chen Tianfei, however, became excited and said, "Boss is indeed boss. No matter what time it is, you can always be arrogant and be so tyrannical, simply too cool." Xiaoying punched forward and bellowed, "Damn fatty, young Master Long against 9 business union. You don't have any advantages at all. You're still excited. Do you believe that I won't smash your head off?" Man Tuoluo asked softly, "What exactly do you want to do?" Chapter 28_8419/2356982. He didn't choose to duel. He chose to fight in groups. He didn't choose to duel. He chose to fight in groups. This was also a madman like Long Fei. No one knew what he was thinking, and he felt his blood boil at his choice. What's so good about it? Wow. This is even F*King exciting than a boss. Long Fei was extremely excited. And then Xiao Tianwu reminded him, "Brat, you have to think carefully." Long Fei said, "Thank you for Elder's reminder. I've thought about it clearly. Either I won't do it, or to trample all of 9 business union to death under their feet. Don't ask me why. Because this brother is so arrogant." Long Fei said excitedly. The faces of the people from 9 business union were ashen, their anger overflowing. If looks could kill, Long Fei would already be pierced through with 1,000 holes. Everyone felt a ball of fire in their hearts. I have to kill him. He had to. Xiao Qianwu did not have any change in expression, and faintly said, "Then let's begin." The leader of the union stepped forward and said, "Mysterious spirit sword, grade 9 immortal. This sword contains a hidden power and can be activated by power of celestial. Invisible killing." After he finished speaking, he stared at Long Fei and said, "Brat, prepare to die." Long Fei said disdainfully, "Trash." The big boss of the Dodge Merchant Union really wanted to charge forward and bite Long Fei to death. Xiao Qianwu moved a bit to verify and said, "It is a high-grade immortal grade, 9 immortal grade immortal equipment. It indeed hides a hint of power, very strong." At this moment, another head of the merchant union walked in front of Xiao Tianwu and introduced his spirit treasure. Long Fei said in disdain, "Trash. This is not bad. Another piece of trash. Are all your 9 business unions trash? What a disgrace." Long Fei was very disappointed. After the first round, he only had a few items that were pretty good, but the expectations he had immediately dropped, and he underestimated them. Jin Sanyuan walked forward and said respectfully, "This is a strand of immortal foundation." Finished. Jin Sanyuan took out a strand of immortal foundation. Once the immortal foundation appeared, the whole hall was moved. What a strong power of celestial. The aura of the power of celestial is too dense. What kind of immortal foundation is this? The legendary, mutated, immortal roots. This caused a sensation. Long Fei's eyes also darkened as he said, almost at the same time as the Yan Huang ancestor, "This is a good thing." The dense power of celestial was not spirit grass, not war beast, but a stone immortal root that was the same as the fairy stones. It was very strange. Lei Zhong suddenly stood up and said, "Fairy stone root. Fairy stone root." What kind of immortal foundation is this? Why haven't I heard of it before? The Immortal Foundation wasn't recorded in the Immortal Foundation manual either. It was too special. Even the elders of God Emperor Academy could only shake their heads as they had never heard of this Immortal Foundation. Jin Sanyuan was incomparably pleased, and this was the effect he wanted. What he wanted was a sensation, and only a sensation would make everyone remember the family gene union. Shocking effect. Xiao Tianwu slowly said, Fairy Stone Root, top quality immortal foundation. Once these immortal roots are fused, one can obtain an endless supply of power of celestialness. I don't know. Jin Sanyuan immediately said, What Headmaster said is correct. It is the effect of the endless power of celestial. This immortal root is a level 1 immortal root, and it is also the only fairy stone root that has appeared in the entire Sky Martial Continent. My God, you can't use all of the power of celestial. Isn't this too abnormal? This immortal foundation is simply heaven-defying. The power of celestial was the spirit energy used by the warriors in immortal domain. It was used to temper the body and stimulate the potential in the body to break through the shackles. It could be said that the power of celestial was very important. Just like a mage's blue medicine, it was extremely important. With an inexhaustible supply of blue medicine, how terrifying was this mage? It was hard to imagine. Long Fei glanced at it and said excitedly to himself, Coincidentally, I don't have a blend of fairy vein, so it's mine to use, hee. He laughed sinisterly in his heart. Yan Huang Ancestor smacked his lips. So enticing if you could let me eat it. Don't even think about it. Ancestor, I'm telling you, you can't touch the Immortal Foundation. I have 2 immortal roots in my space ring. You can eat them. Without waiting for Long Fei to finish speaking, the 2 immortal roots were dragged out by the ancestor into his mouth, and he did not bother to be courteous with Long Fei. Long Fei, you old glutton. At this time, Xiao Tianwu stood up slightly. Seeing that he had obtained the fairy stone root, the expression in his eyes was somewhat moved, and he said somewhat excitedly, Good stuff. I never thought that family gene union would have such a good stuff. I bid 10,000 fairy stones. I bid 30,000 fairy stones. Below the stage, there were already people frantically bidding. Jin Sanyuan watched the intense competition from below the stage, and he became even more proud. The price immediately rose to 80,000 fairy stones. This was no ordinary price. This was the first time in history that a level 1 immortal root had such a price. Jin Sanyuan said slightly, Thank you everyone for your kindness towards Family Gene Union. This immortal foundation is temporarily not for sale. If it were to be sold, Family Gene Union would definitely send news of it immediately and begin the auction. Ancestor, someone is laughing at you. Ancestor, someone is laughing at you. That's not right. It's not someone. It's a bunch of people who are mocking you. Long Fei added fuel to the fire and said, The things you refine are despised by others. Ha ha ha. Long Fei had never seen the patriarch so angry before. Yan Huang Ancestor was so angry that he wanted to go berserk. Scrap iron, iron plate, open your dog eyes, and look carefully. Yan Huang Ancestor was infuriated. Long Fei slowly said, Some people are like that. If you don't screw them, they won't know that you're his father. You like to laugh, right? Keep smiling for lousy. Long Fei's voice turned cold. He stared at Jin Sanyuan and said, You do not decide whether or not the item is good. Do you understand? At this moment, Xiao Tianwu walked forward, and his right hand held onto the blade hilt. In that instant, his arm shook all of a sudden, and a burst of powerful force blew away the center of his palm, causing his expression to change. And he stared at Long Fei. This blade of yours. His expression suddenly changed. The faces of Jin Sanyuan and the others darkened instantly. The laughter from below the stage died down. Long Fei said indifferently, "This blade is called Ba." "Tyrant." Xiao Tianwu's mind shook, and a loud sound of thunder exploded in his sea of consciousness as he muttered to himself, "Ba, ba, what a great tyrant." And then his right hand moved, and an air shield visible to the naked eye appeared on his arm, the claw of the black tortoise. He grabbed the Overlord blade and moved. Boom. Wang. An extremely arrogant and tyrannical power burst forth. Xiao Tianwu's profound strength resonated, and with a casual movement, he slashed out like a crazed demon. Every stroke was suicidal. Each slash was extremely arrogant, with no way out. What was a tyrant? A fierce tyrant. He struck out with his blade, with full force. Without holding back his strength in the slightest, it would become his hegemony if he did not stop until he died. This was the essence of the Overlord blade. Many people stood up. All of them were excited by the Overlord blade in Xiao Tianwu's hands. They were all people who used blades. The kind of arrogant and overbearing blade aura was extremely strong, causing the blades they wore to vibrate and resonate. Half a minute later, Xiao Tianwu stopped with an extremely excited expression. He looked at Long Fei and said, "Good blade. It's really a good blade. If I was as young as you and had not absorbed the black tortoise immortal root, I would definitely cultivate my tyrannical Tao for this blade." His blood was burning. This made him incomparably excited. This kind of feeling was as if he was young and reckless, impulsive, causing people to be excited. Jin Sun Yuan's brows sank as he said, "Lord Headmaster, this is just a piece of scrap. Why?" Not waiting for him to finish, Jin Sanyuan walked to the front of the Overlord blade and clenched his fist. The moment he gripped the saber hilt, boom! With a huge sound, his mind was shaken by the wild and tyrannical power of the Overlord blade to the point where he could not take it anymore, and he directly knelt to the ground. Uffed. His knees ached from the pain. Long Fei laughed. "Oh, you're still kneeling down?" Jin Sanyuan was in comparable rage. He crawled up and shouted, "I don't believe it!" Yi Zichen moved his hands. Grasping the handle tightly, he roared, "Rise!" His power surged. At this moment, bam! A burst of power burst out, directly sending Jin Sanyuan flying out of the stage. Uffed! He spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was pale white, and that was because he was wearing the holy artifact armor. Otherwise, the tyrannical power inside the blade would have shattered his heart veins. Long Fei looked at the pale Jin Sanyuan below the stage and laughed coldly. "Third fatty, do you want to try again?" Those people who like to laugh. Come. You guys give it a try. You don't dare? You don't dare to laugh at your ancestors. Long Fei roared fiercely. It was also at this time. "I bid 80,000 fairy stones. 100,000. 150,000 fairy stones. Equals semi/floating life plus 200,000. I'll pay 230,000. The entire competition grounds seemed to have been set ablaze. They were all shocked by the tyrannical power of the Overlord blade. It was simply too powerful. Long Fei asked, "Ancestor, what do you think? Do I sell it or not?" Chapter 48_8419/2356984. The Overlord blade was crafted by the ancestor. The Overlord blade was crafted by the ancestor. I'll have to ask him. Yan Huang ancestor said, "I'll sell it. I only used half of my strength on this kind of thing. If I use all my strength, I'll definitely scare them to death." Long Fei said, "Since that's the case, then I'll sell it." Long Fei laughed faintly. "This blade is not for sale in the Source Merchant Union, but it is. You guys are too enthusiastic. I dare to make a decision and start the auction.
230,000 fairy stones bid once. Is there anything higher? In addition, the important part is that the Steel Monster S are customized to be able to shock the heavens and can also be customized to be Alloy Armor S. However, this kind of blade cannot be customized. It is the only one in the entire world. Remember, just this one, a unique existence. Longface said passionately. Immediately, another person began to bid. I bid 250,000. 250,000. Are there any higher bidders? I'll pay 300,000. A middle-aged man suddenly walked out from room number 2. 300,000. 300,000. Is there anything higher? At this moment, an old man wearing a black cloak came out from room number 1 and said, I bid 5. Huh. Ha ha ha. Is he crazy? He called out a price of 300,000 gold coins, but he offered a price of 5. What the hell is he doing? Many people in the crowd burst into laughter. The black-cloaked old man slightly said, the 5 I am talking about are 5 immortal crystals. As soon as his voice faded, many people began to discuss in whispers. What are immortal crystals? How come I've never heard of it? What are immortal crystals? It was also at this moment that Box 2 said, lightly, we give up. Long Fei was also confused. What do you mean by immortal crystals? The elder said, 1 immortal crystal for 100,000 fairy stones, which is 500,000 immortal crystals. Moreover, you can't even trade for immortal crystals. You're rich. Wow, I can finally have a good meal. Old man Yen Huang was boiling with excitement. Long Fei looked at the black-cloaked old man in room number 1 and muttered in his heart, why does this voice sound so familiar? Without thinking too much, Long Fei asked, are there any higher quality immortal crystals out of the 5? The entire hall was silent. Not a single sound could be heard. Long Fei said, 5 immortal crystals sold. That what? No credit. Without waiting for Long Fei to finish speaking, the black-caped elderly man delivered a gift through the air, and a small bag appeared in front of Long Fei. The Overlord blade behind him flew into the air and landed in his hands in the blink of an eye. The power of this teleportation item was invincible. What is the background of the people in room number 1? It's only just started, and the first round of the competition has only gotten 1 point. You'll have to watch the second round. While they were talking, Jin Sanyuan once again walked onto the stage. Long Fei became excited and said, I like this kind of explosive temper of yours. If there's anything good in the second round, take it all out. Don't let it be trash again. Kid, watch carefully for us. Finished. The big boss of the 9 business union took out a new set of soul treasures. This time, they were all treasures that he had never seen before, treasures that were at least immortal grade 9 or higher. They were dazzling and made Long Fei drool. He had to say it. The 9 business union had a very strong foundation. Finally, Jin Sanyuan walked forward again and said, look carefully. Finished. Jin Sanyuan took out a set of 8 ores from the space ring. The moment Xiao Tianwu saw the ore, he immediately sat up. Zhou Lian also instantly rushed to the stage, stared at the 8 ore, and said, spirit energy or still 8? This. I don't know anything else. However, there was no one who did not know about the spirit power mine. Even a 3-year-old kid in a mortal domain knew that this ore was an essential ingredient in refining holy artifact. Moreover, this type of ore could cause changes and raise the grade of the refined ore by several levels. It was a top quality ore from the ores. Jin Sanyuan laughed proudly, stared at Long Fei, and said, Brat, it's your turn. He could not wait to stomp on Long Fei. Equals half carrot float,
Hashtag. Hashtag life carrot. He had to step on Long Fei. Long Fei looked at the spirit or until his mouth started watering and said, Emma, an all-round type of, or especially the critical hit type. It's too tempting. At this moment, Long Fei regained his composure and smiled faintly and said, Demon Sword, it's your turn to go up on stage. Chapter 5. Thank you for your support. 8_8419/2356985. Zhou Lian, who was on the stage, frowned. He immediately took a defensive stance, and with a tremble of his aura, a huge defense formed out of the profound spirit chi on his body. On the stage, silence reigned. They all looked at the demon sword that was floating in midair, as if the demon sword's devil had intimidated them. Yan Huang Ancestor became excited. Ha ha! Good boy, this sword is full of strength. Ha ha! Madman is a madman. The war device he refined is just as crazy. Even the forefather was excited. Long Fei moved, and the devil's sword floated beside him. He walked forward, and the devil's sword followed suit. Third Fatty, do you have anything to say? Jin Sanyuan's face became extremely ugly. The powerful devilish flames on the demon sword crushed his mind and caused him to feel incomparable discomfort. This magic sword was created with the origin plan forest. Red light was flashing all over his body. Incomparable dominance. If it was combined with that set of armor. Invincible. To be able to charm a group of young girls to death. Zhou Lian's heart sank as he said, This sword devil flame is extremely evil. Extremely evil. An item to kill the person who created it. Who exactly are they? The old man Tian Lian from the Dark Demon region? No, I've seen his works before. Even though he is a grand master of the immortal rank, he is unable to fuse the three powerful demonic intents, evil, and killing together. Zhou Lian couldn't figure out whose work this was and couldn't help but ask, Is this still the work of that master? That's impossible. Refining a demon sword was completely different from refining an immortal grade spirit treasure. The demon sword really needed to be released with a demonic intent all over its body. It could not be distracted in the slightest, or else it would easily go berserk. He had once tried to refine a demonic artifact. However, the devil intent in his heart was like a volcano erupting completely out of his control. If he didn't withdraw in time, he would have already been possessed. One had to be a demon to refine a magic tool. There was no doubt about that. However, the alloy armor did not have a single bit of devil intent. So why was it that it was completely different? Long Fei laughed indifferently. What the elder said is right. It is all done by that expert. As for how he refined it, I do not know, but I only know a little. He's from the South Horizon region. If he really wanted to say it out, what would happen to Zhou Lian? Yan Huang Ancestor laughed. You little brat, your act is awesome. Long Fei laughed in his heart. You have to keep a low profile. The Yan Huang Ancestor disdainfully said, Being low-key is the best way to show off. I still don't know about you little brat. You want to raise the status of the South Horizon region? Just these are not enough. Long Fei slightly smiled and did not say a word. Indeed, he wanted to raise up the status of the South Horizon region. He himself was being looked down upon everywhere. He had both taunts and sneers. He had had enough. Thus, he did not want the South Horizon region warriors to enter the immortal domain in the future and be looked down upon like him. He wanted to change that. He knew in his heart that this alone wasn't enough. Zhou Lian looked shocked. The South Horizon region has produced such a prodigy. For equipment forging, I must definitely pay a visit to him and have him become my disciple. In box 13, wasn't this made by Boss? Chun Tianfei was startled and asked. Xiao Ying said. Then if he was alone in the room for 3 days, it should have been him refining it, right? Fu Shishan muttered. I've never heard of such a great artificer existed in the South Horizon region. Man Tualuo said, We do not know who else is in the room. Maybe it really is. The demon sword is too strong. Even they did not believe that Long Fei had refined it. The entire venue was shocked. There's such a genius in the South Horizon region. Isn't the South Horizon region a wasteland? My God, this sword is too valiant. As the audience discussed this, the South Horizon region shocked them for the first time. This was just the beginning. Floating life, table of contents, no windows. The faces of the leaders of 9 business union were extremely ugly, especially Jean Sanyuan. He looked as ugly as **T. Long Fei laughed coldly. Third fatty, you still want to act so arrogantly and complacently with your father? Compete with me? Your 18 generations of ancestors are not qualified. While everyone was still in shock, a voice suddenly came from the roof. I bid 100 immortal crystals. The first chapter, Little Blast Today, 8_8419/2356986. However, if the people from the Long family are to remain silent and not rise to prominence, then once they do, that would be as fast as a monster. So fast that you wouldn't even be able to react. Ha ha ha. The young master is so handsome today. 100 immortal crystals, that's not something an ordinary person can take out. This girl should be the daughter of Dark Domain's domain, Lord Song Qianqian. Song Qianqian. She has a special aura on her body, the same aura as her father. She's here too. I heard that she is not an ordinary person. The heavens did not say anything, and she was even born with the cultivation of arrogant, immortal state. She is known as the #1 person in Dark Domain, and also the Holy Maiden of Dark Domain. So what? But you still want to spend money on our young lord's things. Ha ha ha. Do you think the young master will sell it? 10 million fairy stones are enough for him to cultivate for his entire life. Almost everyone was waiting for Long Fei's answer. Sell or not to sell. 10 million fairy stones instantly entered the ranks of the wealthy in the Sky Martial continent. Long Fei looked at the veiled girl and said, I'm sorry, my personal belongings are not for sale right now. Huh. Well, Lala, just now, everyone held their breaths and waited for the answer. As soon as Long Fei finished speaking, everyone let out a heavy sigh, and an uproar ensued. You aren't selling 10 million fairy stones. Heavens, is this kid crazy? If I had 10 million fairy stones, I would definitely be overjoyed. Ha ha ha. Fu Tianlong laughed excitedly. Truly a brainless idiot. You're not even selling this? With these 10 million fairy stones, you can do whatever you want in 10 commercial alliances. It seems I still have a chance. Jean Sanyuan also let out a long sigh of relief. He was also worried that Long Fei would sell it. 10 million primeval stones could crush him into mincemeat. Just when everyone was sighing, the veiled lady continued, 20 million fairy stones. As soon as his voice faded, the crowd immediately burst into an uproar. 20 million. Damn it. I can't take it anymore. My heart can't take it anymore. Chun Tianfei became agitated and said, Boss, you're too awesome. Wouldn't 20,000 fairy stones directly soar to the top of the rich list? It's too sharp. Everyone was incomparably excited. This was the real deal of the auction. Jean Sun Yuan's legs shook and he almost kneeled down. Even if he couldn't withstand 10 million, he would be reduced to smithereens if he were to receive 20 million. At the same time, the hatred in his heart for Long Fei grew even stronger. Long Fei shook his head and laughed. I'm really not selling. Without the Xian Ming sword, Long Fei needed a sword. The combination of this demon lord and the god's devil body would allow it to release its powerful strength, so it would definitely not be sold. The first round was worth 1 point. The first round was worth 1 point. The second scene had a product of 2 points. Long Fei had won 2 rounds consecutively and was already in an invincible position, because even if he lost the third round, it would still be a draw. However, Jin Sanyuan did not give up. He had already reached this stage. He had no other way out. Defeat. He would lose everything. Victory. He could take back everything. The expressions of the few elders from the 9 business unions sunk. They never thought that they would be forced to such a state, and even more so, thought that Long Fei actually had so many precious treasures. There was still 1 more round left. If he lost again, the faces of the few of them slightly darkened as they whispered, President Jin, why don't we just forget about it? No way. No way. Jin Sanyuan and Long Fei said at almost the same time. Long Fei said, I just gave you a chance. Now I won't give you another chance to leave. If you want to leave, that's fine too, but leave behind all the things in your space for me. Brat, you're delusional. Humph, do you really take yourself seriously? Let's compete then. Let's see what else you can take out. All of them instantly became enraged, because how could they give such a powerful, great treasure to Long Fei? Long Fei smiled slightly. His heart was also secretly shocked. It's the last match. There were not many things he could do now. Kunlun mirror? No, it wouldn't stop them. Green dragon tripod? That wouldn't do. Only he could feel the existence of the Azure Dragon ancestor. Underworld summoning seal? The level of these ghost soldiers were too low. Even if they were summoned, they would only be at the bottom of immortal domain. They would only be mocked by others, not the immortal domain. Thunder Dragon Rod? It was the same. The level was too low. Long Fei was puzzled. The last round, what should I use? He had used up all the materials he had refined. If they were to compete now, it would have to be something that dropped in the past. Just as Long Fei was deep in his thoughts, Jin Sanyuan said slightly, Brat, the third round has 3 points. If we win, then it's a tie. And if it's a tie, then it's usually another round. But I don't think you want to waste time. How about this? The final round has 4 points. He wanted a game back. 1 set was enough to shake the world. 1 round was enough to crush Long Fei, the Fengyuan Merchant Union. Fu Shishan immediately said, Long Fei, don't agree to it. Chen Tianfei also shouted loudly, Damn fatty, can you be any more shameless? This was obviously disadvantageous towards Long Fei. He was now invincible. In the third round, his score was 4 points. If he lost, he would lose everything. Jin Sanyuan looked at Long Fei with a face full of pride and said, Kid, do you dare? Long Fei looked at Jin Sanyuan, and the corner of his mouth twitched, then said, Will do as you say. All right. Jin Sanyuan laughed excitedly. Then let's see what you can bring out in 1 round. As soon as he finished, Jin Sanyuan moved his body and directly took out a huge cauldron from the space ring and placed it in front of Xiao Tianwu and said, Ancient holy artifact, 8 dragons tripod. I believe all of you should be very clear about what this 8 dragons tripod is. That's right. It's the Dragon Clan's treasure, the 8 dragons tripod. Rumor has it that the 8 eight-clawed golden dragons have been placed inside the seal, that this cauldron can intimidate and scare all living things in the world, and also, legend has it that this cauldron has hidden the secret passage to the dragon domain. This item. Jin Sanyuan looked at Long Fei complacently and said, He's invincible. Kid, you've lost. Prepare to die. Ha ha ha. Arrogant. He was incomparably arrogant. He was afraid that Long Fei would not agree. Now that Long Fei had agreed, he had won for sure. There was nothing that could surpass an 8 dragons tripod. To date, he still had not discovered anything. The treasures left behind by the Dragon Clan were rarely seen in the past 10,000 years, and every single one of them was extremely shocking. Dragon race, the dragon territory. He was the most mysterious existence in the Tianwu continent. In this era, no one had ever been to the dragon domain, nor had anyone seen a dragon flying in the sky. At most, it was a lizard dragon. However, dragon race. The dragon domain truly did exist in the Sky Martial continent. All sorts of dragon treasures left behind by the ancient era were the best evidence. The 8 dragons tripod was one of them. The 8 golden dragons were ferocious as they roared above the huge cauldron. Each golden dragon was vivid and lifelike, and each golden dragon was filled with dense energy. This kind of strength was enough to make one feel fear. Excited. At this moment, everyone present stood up, stretched their neck, and looked at the 8 dragons tripod on the stage, while in the air they shouted, "Roar! Roar!" A deafening dragon roar exploded. It was like bringing a human into a world of dragons in nothingness. Xiao Tianwu's profound handle aura was crushed to pieces. All his defenses were useless in front of the 8 dragons tripod. This was Jin Sanyuan's strongest trump card. The strongest card was to firmly trample Long Fei down at the last crucial moment. The other 8 heads of the Merchant Union let out a long breath. They were all very excited. "Kid, no matter how arrogant he is, ha ha ha. If you have the guts, then do it one more time. Who can contend against the 8 dragons tripod? Aren't you smug? He was so cocky. Ha ha ha. You have this day too. Let's see how long you can jump today." Ha ha ha. The appearance of the 8 dragons tripod gave them a sense of anger, and was finally going to step on Long Fei. Fu Tianlong also laughed in disdain. "Brat, you are so arrogant. Why aren't you acting so arrogant anymore? Go play with the eggs." Ha ha ha. He was also crushed so hard by Long Fei that he was barely able to breathe. He was finally able to calm down. Many people were the same as him. They were unspeakably excited when they saw Long Fei being stepped on. Fu Shishan's body trembled slightly as he said, "We're finished. It's over." I never thought that family gene union would actually have an ancient holy item like that. This time, Chen Tianfei's heart sank as well. He clenched his fists, unable to say a word. Just as Jin Sanyuan had said, 8 dragons tripod were invincible. Even the treasures of the God Emperor Academy could not compare to it. It was simply too strong. Jin Sanyuan laughed with incomparable complacency and roared loudly while staring at Long Fei. "Brat, you've lost. Ha ha ha. You must have lost." Xiao Qianwu gave a faint reminder and said, "If you can't take out something better than 8 dragons tripod, then you will lose this match." Defeat. This means that they will lose. Losing to the Fengyuan Merchant Union, Long Fei slightly lifted his eyes, looked at Jin Sanyuan, and said, "Third fatty, is it enough to break this ancient sacred artifact of yours? Splitting the ancient holy item." Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Everyone laughed loudly. Even a fitted realm-level ranker would not be able to fight an ancient holy item. A mere Long Fei, with his cultivation at the peri-celestial stage, would he be able to cut a 8 dragons tripod apart? Isn't this a joke? Jin Sanyuan laughed mockingly. "If you have something that can cut 8 dragons tripod apart, I admit defeat." The corner of Long Fei's mouth raised slightly and laughed. Chapter 38_8419/2356988.
The fat on Chen Tianfei's body trembled as he shouted loudly, "Boss, I love you. I want to give birth to your baby." "Why the hell would I give birth to you?" Xiao Ying punched out violently and shouted, "Young Master Long, I want to be a gorilla with you." Looking at Long Fei, who was on the stage, he said joyfully, "You have truly grown up and are no longer the young master of the Long family from 4 years ago. You are now the banner bearer of the Long family. I am truly happy for you." Man Tualuo was the same. He was also shocked from the bottom of his heart. So powerful. On the auction platform, Long Fei stood quietly at his original position, his eyes looking towards the sky as he muttered to himself. It was as if nothing had happened just now. No one could understand. In his body, amongst the green dragon tripod, the azure dragon ancestor's excited voice rang out, "Ha ha! Golden dragon, 8 brothers, you've all come out as well?" The azure dragon patriarch was excited. "It's finally out. How many years have you 8 been stuck in the seal? Now I can finally see the light of day." In the void, the 8 golden dragon silhouettes continued to writhe, roaring and going berserk. These scenes could only be seen by Long Fei, because he was the one who undid the seal, a person who released 8 golden dragons. Looking at the shining golden dragon in the sky, the octopus dragon, its power was so strong that it could explode. Long Fei became excited. So strong, so strong. It was also at this time a golden dragon suddenly spoke. "Are you ready?" "Huh." Long Fei was a little confused. "Prepare what?" It was also at this moment. Roar. A dragon's roar resounded, turning into a huge body that turned into a churning around before charging down vertically. It simply did not give Long Fei any time to react. He directly rushed through Long Fei's head. Crack! In less than half a second, a golden dragon rushed into Long Fei's body. But there was no pain. Next, the second golden dragon turned and once again heavily crashed down. Rumble. Third day, golden dragon. The 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th golden dragons all rushed into Long Fei's body. Resonant sounds continuously resonated from within his body. The colossal dragon roared. Not only were there 8 golden dragons, there was also the azure dragon ancestor in the green dragon tripod and the ancestor of dark dragon god in the dragon sallier. This feeling was very special. Long Fei couldn't help but become excited as well. He didn't even know why he felt such excitement, but it was simple excitement that caused his blood to boil. All of these scenes were only seen and felt by Long Fei himself. The people around could not see anything. 8 dragons entering the body, incomparably powerful. It was also at this moment. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Sea of Consciousness Enhancement, Golden Dragon God Protection. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Mind Strengthening Golden Dragon Protection. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the strengthened right arm Golden Dragon Arm. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining left arm strengthening Golden Dragon Arm. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining leg strengthening Leg Protecting Golden Dragon. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining leg strengthening Golden Dragon Leg Protector. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 5 Viscera Strengthening Skill Golden Dragon Protector. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Soul Strengthening Golden Dragon Guardian Spirit. 8 consecutive notifications sounded. Long Fei was stunned. He could clearly feel that his body had changed. He could feel the 8 golden dragons around him, and its defense. This was too heaven-defying. Baidu's sister-in-law, a half.
Floating life strongest upgrade system. 8 dragons enter the body. These are the 8 golden dragons' power. Long Fei's heart started to boil. He clenched both of his fists. The feeling of his strength exploding out was really too refreshing. As the 8 golden dragons returned to their positions, we pay our respects to the boss. Chapter 5, 8_8419/2356992. As soon as his voice faded, Long Fei was so shocked that he almost jumped up. I'm about to go up to the sky. All of the 8-clawed golden dragons call me boss. 8. F***CK. I just F***king want to ask, who else is there? Long Fei was extremely excited. The 8 dragons entering his body had already made him extremely excited, but the sound of the 8 golden dragons greeting their boss almost scared him to the point that he peed his pants. The Azure Dragon ancestor called him boss. At that time, he thought that he yelled incorrectly, and he didn't really believe the words that the Azure Dragon ancestor said. Now, the 8 golden dragons called him boss again. Could he have recognized the wrong person? Impossible. In that case, was he really a Yuan Long, the leader of the dragon clan? But I am a human. I am a descendant of the Long family. How do I become the leader of the dragon race? F***CK me. I really wish to quickly F***king get to the dragon race and unravel the secrets of the dragon race. I'm going to kill myself out of desperation. Long Fei really wished he could find the dragon domain right now, unravel the secrets of the dragon race, and similarly unravel the secrets of the Long family. Azure Dragon ancestor of dark dragon god among the dragons Salyer. All of these made Long Fei very excited, and his desire to find the dragon race, as well as the secret behind Long family, grew even stronger. What was it? Suddenly, Chen Tianfei shouted loudly, "Boss, the 3 fatties trying to escape." At this moment, Long Fei reacted in the blink of an eye as his gaze darkened, and he immediately blocked Jin Sunyuan's way. The corner of his mouth slightly curled as he smiled sinisterly. "Third fatty, you lost, right?" Jin Sunyuan's voice trembled slightly as she said, "My 8 dragons tripod was hacked into pieces by you. What else do you want?" Long Fei laughed. "I don't want anything. I just want your life." Jin Sunyuan's eyes darkened and shouted, "Brat, don't be too overbearing. Do you know who I am? Do you know what will happen if you touch me? Humph. I advise you to be more tactful and not cause yourself trouble." Very arrogant, Long Fei shouted coldly and said, "You still dare to be arrogant in front of me at this time? Third fatty, I don't care who you are. I'm willing to admit defeat. Give me your life." Jin Sanyuan was also enraged. He shouted out, "Merely at the nascent realm, did you think I would be afraid of you? You dog, go to hell." Suddenly, Jin Sanyuan took out a sharp sword. The sword was glowing, and it was thrusting towards Xiang Longfei's throat. "Ha ha! I can even split a 8 dragons tripod apart, but you, a mere sword?" Long Fei's blade slashed down. Clang! The long sword broke into 2 parts, and the huge aura of the dragon Salyer directly crushed Jin Sanyuan to the ground. The dragon Salyer fell and stopped him by his neck. Long Fei looked at him with scorn and said, "Arrogant, come, come. Let me see how arrogant you are." At the same time, Long Fei's gaze swept across them, coldly staring at the people present, and said, "Are you mocking my southern domain? You too are worthy of that." Jin Sunyuan's body trembled as he stuttered, "Please spare my dog life. I beg you, please spare my life." Long Fei's eyes darkened. He stared at Jin Sanyuan and said, "You're the one who robbed the Feng Yuan Merchant Union, right?" Jin Sunyuan's body suddenly trembled. How did you know?" "Obviously. The The goods of the Fengyuan Merchant Union were all precious treasures, and out of the items that were to be auctioned, there was only one possibility for them to kidnap someone, a member of the 10 commercial alliances. However, these people from the Merchant Union were exceptionally intelligent when it came to their voices, but they were not good in other areas. Longfei shouted again, "Who else?" The of the dragon Salyer had already cut into his flesh, causing Jin Sanyuan to instantly piss in fright. He said, Yes, the Murong King's manor gave us the information. If not, we wouldn't have known the route of the Fengyuan Merchant Union's goods. Huh. Longfei's brows tightened. Murong King's manor? Jin Sanyuan immediately replied, Yes, it's the Murong King's estate. The God Emperor City's Murong Prince's estate specifically collects information. Longfei had always thought that it was Fu Tianlong's doing, but he never thought that it was actually the Murong King's manor. His gaze darkened as he stared at the nearby Murong Fenglei. Murong Fenglei did not speak, but laughed coldly and said, Jin Sanyuan, you cannot speak carelessly. Speaking carelessly would kill you. Jin Sanyuan said, I definitely aren't spouting nonsense. I even gave them 3,000 fairy stones, and I believe that Murong Fenglei is on top of them. Murong Fenglei's expression changed as he said angrily, Jin Sanyuan, don't you slander me. Murong Tian still had a cold and complacent expression on his face. Staring at Longfei, he said, So, what if it's information that our Murong Prince's manor has leaked in? He wasn't afraid in the slightest. Moreover, there was confidence and disdain in his eyes. No matter what was born today, Longfei would not be able to escape death. The holy ninth rank was his most fatal weakness. The corner of Longfei's mouth curled up slightly as he said with a cold smile, I won't do anything. Your Murong King's manor is so high up in the sky, so what can I, a kid from the southern domain, do? Murong Tian laughed. You're very tactful. You trash from the southern domain. At this moment, without waiting for Murong Tian to finish speaking, Longfei's right hand suddenly moved and slashed horizontally. Shwa! Jin Sanyuan's head flew into the air, and the moment his head landed on the ground, Longfei's right leg shook, and with a stomp his head burst out from under his foot, and he shouted sinisterly, I only know how to stomp on his head like this. His voice was filled with authority. The ruthless aura surged out violently. The entire venue suddenly shrieked. At the same time, the black shark idea moved. Tell our brothers to take action. As long as he could capture Fu Shishan and the others, everything on Longfei's body would belong to him. The corners of He Shaw's mouth curled up. I am the biggest winner of this auction. Ha ha! The moment Jin Sanyuan's head was crushed, the system sounded out. Release your striking energy value. Longfei moved, releasing his striking attribute without hesitation. Ding! Congratulations to player Longfei for killing Jin Sanyuan for obtaining 100 experience points, 90 power of celestial, and 10 energy values. Congratulations to player Longfei for obtaining Fairy Stone Root. Do you wish to fuse it? Congratulations to player Longfei for obtaining 8 Spirit Essences. Congratulations, player. Explode. Berserk. Jin Sanyuan was the messenger of wealth, going berserk. When he saw the Fairy Stone Root and Spirit or Longfei became excited. Looking at the distant Murong Tian, he laughed coldly and said, Just like this. He beheaded another big boss of the Merchant Union in one slash. Ding! Congratulations, player. Another huge explosion. And it's like this. Another blade hacked down, and another Merchant Union leader was killed. Consecutive saber strikes. 9 people in a row. The heads of the 9 business union, the 9 great envoys. It was earth-shattering. Just like that,
Chapter 68 underscore 8419/2356993. The 9 successive slashes were so sharp that it was a complete mess. The 9 successive slashes were so sharp that it was a complete mess. Too fast. It was so fast that no one could react. And so did those merchant union bosses. The space ring-s were all piled up. All good things. Yan Huang ancestor was so happy that it felt like it was his birthday. He laughed so much that he couldn't even speak. He continued to eat. I'm rich. I'm rich. Ha ha. This time, we really are rich. Long Fei did not bother with the ancestor, but instead looked at Murong Tian, who was in the crowd, and coldly laughed. I won't do anything. I will just do as you say. Murong Tian, are you feeling good or not? Murong Tian's eyes were gloomy, the anger in his heart raging. From the corner of his eyes, he looked into the darkness and realized that Heisha was no longer at his original spot. Then he sneered, Long Fei, you will feel great later on. It was also at this moment Xiao Tianwu bellowed and said, Brat, this is the God Emperor city, not your South Heaven region. Don't be too arrogant. 9 business union great leader was killed. The economy of the God Emperor city would be in chaos, and there might be chaos. This was not a good thing for the God Emperor city. Long Fei turned around and smiled and said, Elder, you heard our bet. It's a bet of life. If I lose, they will take my life as well. Xiao Tianwu's face darkened and said, Killing people here is wrong. So what if you win? At this moment, Long Fei realized that Xiao Tianwu was looking at him differently now. Long Fei observed very carefully and said, So what if it's not right? You are only the principal of the God Emperor Academy. If people respect me for an inch, I respect them for 10 feet. If you dare to be cocky again, I will overturn your ancestral grave. This was Long Fei's personality. You need to be reasonable, and it's the same for Long Fei. But if you do, then I'm sorry. I will slap him with my palm, and he will not give me any face at all. Xiao Tianwu lowered the center of her brows and coldly said, You're too arrogant. Long Fei laughed. Not at all. I brought her out of her mother's womb, and she's been this arrogant since she was born. She can't be changed, can she? Xiao Tianwu's killing intent moved. The dragon salyer in Long Fei's hands tightened its grip. Even if his cultivation was weak, he wouldn't yield in the slightest. Crazy. Even if he were to face the principal of the God Emperor Academy, it would be the same. Gu Wuji had seen it all before. It was the same kind of arrogance, the same kind of arrogance. At this moment, he stared at Long Fei and said, Brat, you have to know how to restrain yourself. This is not some poor countryside Southern Sky region. This is the God Emperor city. Even if you have some ability, it's your fault. You have to lie down, understand? The elders of the God Emperor Academy stood up one after another. They all stared at Long Fei coldly. Zhou Lian also advised in a low voice, Brat, don't be so tough, it won't benefit you. It was soon time for the God Emperor Academy's student recruitment assessment, so it was not wise to offend the elders of God Emperor Academy at this time. However, Long Fei's character was like this. He would absolutely not compromise just because of someone because of a certain powerful force. He still arrogantly said, Coiling dragon, crouching tiger? I will. If I were a dragon, if I wanted to soar across the wild universe, what would you all be? If I were a tiger and I wanted to roar at the forest, what would all of you count as? Arrogant, too savage. All of the elders started to feel displeased. At this moment, Murong Tian said loudly, Elders, just a while ago, he killed a disciple of the God Emperor Academy. This kind of disaster cannot be left alive. Inflamed passion, the entire audience was in an uproar. He killed the students of the God Emperor Academy.
Is he arrogant? Does he still have God Emperor Academy in his eyes? This kind of person must not be allowed to live. To look down on everything else, this is too arrogant. Many of them were disciples who had graduated from God Emperor Academy. God Emperor Academy was a sacred ground. She would absolutely not allow anyone to sully her. At this moment, it caused public outrage. Long Fei's eyes turned sinister as he stared at Murong Tian and laughed coldly. Murong Tian, how do you know that I killed God Emperor Academy students? Murong Tian's expression shook and said, I heard about it. Ha ha ha. Long Fei laughed. You heard it? Did you ever hear that I was the one who did it? Murong Tian clenched his fists tightly, which made him burst into flames, and said, Long Fei, I will kill you. Long Fei moved his body, pointed at the Murong Tian in the distance, and laughed, Come up if you dare, and see who kills who. Murong Tian was angry. Long Fei was even more furious. What happened to God Emperor Academy? God Emperor Academy can bully people. Moreover, these elders of the God Emperor Academy all looked down on the South Horizon region and looked down on him. Since they looked down on him, why should they give him face? Murong Tian raged. Boom! When the demon beast immortal root in his body exploded, a strong power exploded out, and with a leap, it descended onto the auction stage as if instantly and said solemnly, You trash from the South Horizon region do not know how high the sky is and how deep the earth is. Today, I'll let you experience what it is like to see how high the sky is and how deep the earth is. Roar! Roaring with his strength, Murong Tian's hands were covered with a thick layer of beast armor. His strength was incomparably savage. Long Fei couldn't react at all. The level difference was too big. The 8-gold dragon was in defense. The 8-gold dragon was in defense. Thus, Murong Tian's fist on Long Fei's body did not have any reaction. It was just like scratching an itch. It didn't hurt, but it was pushed back by the force. At the same time each punch landed, a golden light exploded from his body, as if the body was possessed by the 5 dragons. Tempering the golden light, roared. The Armguard dragon suddenly roared, and Long Fei said in a deep voice, Now it's my turn, right? His fist sank. Boom. He moved. Boom. Every time Long Fei moved, his body would release an intense, rumbling sound. He was incomparably valiant as he forcefully pushed himself forward. Murong Tian's brows tightened. This time, it was because he couldn't react in time. Long Fei's fists exploded, fiercely smashing forward. Boom! His body caved in as he spat out a mouthful of blood. The powerful force penetrated through his body, wreaking havoc within his body. It was an extremely uncomfortable feeling. Without waiting for him to retreat, Long Fei once again punched. Boom! Murong Tian spat out another mouthful of blood, and his body shot out in a straight line. Gold dragon leg protector. Open! Buzz! Long Fei's footsteps moved. His feet moved as fast as lightning. Before Murong Tian's figure landed, he was already standing behind Murong Tian. You dare to be arrogant with this, daddy? Are you F*** king worthy? Rumble! One punch. Murong Tian was once again sent flying. He raised his eyes slightly, and with a shake of his right foot, his leg fell into the air and used his leg as a whip, sweeping downwards. Puffed. Ah! Murong Tian screamed miserably for a lifetime as he spat out a large mouthful of black blood. His body heavily smashed into the mountain from midair, causing the ground to cave in and split open. Long Fei did not stop there. He stepped on Murong Tian's head and laughed coldly. Weren't you very arrogant just now? Aren't you trying to kill me? Isn't it a high and mighty look? Now, give Lousy another one to show off. Complete defeat Murong Tian. He was oppressed to the point that he had no reaction at all. Murong Tian, who was in the pit, stared straight at Long Fei and said, "Brat, kill me if you dare! Kill me! Kill me! If you kill me, your woman will die, your brotherhood will die, and everything in the Fengyuan Merchant Union will perish. Ha ha ha! I am the true winner of today's auction. Ha ha ha!" Murong Tian's body was in extreme pain, but he knew that Black Shark would definitely succeed. The bodyguard beside Fu Xishan was not a match for Black Shark at all. What's more, Black Shark had an expert backing him up. Chun Tianfei and the rest were not his opponents at all, so they would definitely be caught. They were Long Fei's weakness. As long as they were under his control, then nothing would be a problem. No matter how strong Long Fei was, he had to kneel before him. Long Fei laughed coldly and said, "Murong Tian, what trump cards do you have? You can take them all outright." "Ha ha ha! You want to force them to threaten me? Murong Tian, you also did not expect this, right?" Long Fei secretly heaved a sigh of relief, as he had been too careless. He was too careless. He didn't think that the silent Murong Prince Manor and Black Shark faction would make a move against him at the auction. He had never thought of this. He had always been thinking of how to deal with 9 Business Union. Murong Tian's gaze turned towards the nearby Xiao Tianwu, and he said, "Xiao Yuan, elders, save me." Murong Fenglei also rushed forward and shouted, "Brat, you better let him go, or else the Murong Prince's manor will be irreconcilable with you." An elder whispered into Xiao Tianwu's ear. Xiao Tianwu frowned. A disciple that broke the requirement. And then Xiao Tianwu shouted softly, "Long Fei, let him go." The disciples who broke the rules had different statuses. Moreover, Gu Wuji also ordered him to accept all kinds of disciples that were accepted as lousy admissions because of the demon slayer was one of these disciples that had broken the rules. There must be no mishap, even though 360 search half floating / / equals Murong Tian was defeated by Long Fei, but the demon beast immortal foundation on his body was indeed very strong. And the reason why Long Fei was able to win was not because of his strength, but because of some type of spirit treasure. In terms of real strength, Long Fei was not Murong Tian's match. As Xiao Tianwu's voice fell once again, he shouted with a sinking tone, "Didn't you hear what I said when I told you to let him go?" Long Fei's gaze turned cold as she coldly replied, "What if I don't give up?" Chapter 18_8419/2356995. Follower. The old man who made the bet with him on Yuling Island. Long Fei suddenly remembered. No wonder it sounds so familiar. His words, lackey's younger brother, made everyone's hair stand on end. Who is this? When even the God Emperor Academy principal knelt down, those elders did not even dare to raise their heads. And these rankers that they did not dare to look up to were actually referred to by Long Fei as lackeys. "Are there any laws?" One of the elders immediately shouted, "Kid, you are too presumptuous." Ha ha ha. The Black Shadow elder laughed out loud, looked at Long Fei, and said, "You have yet to enter God Emperor Academy. I still haven't lost, right?" When he was in Yuling Island, he did not know Long Fei, and even more so, did not know of Long Fei's identity and background. When he returned to the God Emperor city, someone told him. He suddenly realized that Long Fei was actually the young master. If he had known at that time, he would most likely have dragged Long Fei all the way to God Emperor Academy. Long Fei grinned and said, "Are you taking the God Emperor Academy exam? Sooner or later?" Ha ha ha. "I'm waiting for you." The old man also laughed heartily. Long Fei looked at the old man and said, "You won't go back on your words, right?" The old man laughed. "I Qiu Wandao will never go back on my words. As long as you can pass the God Emperor Academy examination, our bet will be settled. Qiu Wandao. The moment this name was mentioned, the entire audience was stunned. Murong Fenglei, Murong Tian, Chen Xiaoshan, Chen Yiweran, and the others were all shocked. Qiu Wandao, who was deemed as the #1 principal of God Emperor Academy, and also the previous principal, he actually wanted to become Long Fei's follower. Everyone was dumbfounded. It had to be known that with Qiu Wandao's status, he had even rejected the invitation of the Tong Tian Hall of Immortals. This shook the entire immortal domain at that time. But now, he was going to become Long Fei's follower. This, Murong Tian's scalp went numb. Damn it, when did he get involved with Qiu Wandao? Chen Xiaoshan's heart sank. It's over. We've offended someone we shouldn't have. We're really done for now. Fu Tianlong's body went limp and fell off the chair, unable to say a single word. The faces of the elders from the God Emperor Academy and Xiao Tianwu turned ashen. They never thought that Long Fei and Qiu Wandao would actually know each other. And with Qiu Wandao protecting Long Fei, it could be seen that their relationship was not that simple. What had happened? Long Fei laughed. That's good. Then just wait to be my follower. Qiu Wandao laughed. Then don't let me down. Entering the God Emperor Academy is extremely difficult, much more difficult than you can imagine. While they were talking, Qiu Wandao looked at the elders of the God Emperor Academy. Long Fei's heart started boiling. Wow, wouldn't it be great if I could have such a strong rancor as my little brother in the future? Ha ha ha. Qiu Wandao looked at Long Fei and said, What I'm doing, is it on your terms? He was referring to revoking Murong Tian's qualification. Like this, Murong Tian would go through the same tests as Long Fei. During the assessment, it was normal for some things to happen and a few people to die. Long Fei nodded excitedly and said, Thank you. Qiu Wandao laughed and said, Brat, don't disappoint me. The more others hinder your progress, the more you need to do your best. You need to step on everything beneath your feet and destroy everything. This will be the most powerful way to crush them. Do you understand? Long Fei nodded heavily. Thank you, Senior. I understand. Life. No one can be smooth sailing, but there will be stumbling, villainous, treacherous people. In the face of these things you think of nothing. Do well, forward bravely. The more they obstruct you, the more jealous, hateful, and angry they become. All you have to do is make them even more furious and jealous. Qiu Wandao's figure moved and disappeared from the stage. In box 1, an excited and wild laughter rang out. Old man, I didn't think that you would actually know the young lord. You sure hid your strength well. An old man said in envy, Floating life, table of contents, no windows? AA++, Qiu Wandao said. I only found out about it later, but compared to a few years ago, the young master's growth is truly exciting. This time, Long family will definitely rise again. The old man also became excited. It's time for Long family to rise up. Ha ha. Third 8_8419/2356997. From today onwards, you all will be my attendants in the God's Phoenix Pavilion. From the looks of your performance, if you all perform well, your position will be promoted. Fu Tianlong did not speak. He directly ran into the God's Phoenix Pavilion and said loudly, Please come an esteemed guest. The other 2 elders also followed. Fu Shishan slightly smiled, walked to Long Fei's side, and said, Thank you. Long Fei said, Sis, why are you being so polite with me? Right. 2 days ago, Principal Zhou from God Emperor Academy came to the store to look for you. Because you were resting, I rejected his request. Today you came again. Do you want to see him? That was the reason why Fu Shishan came to the backyard.
Long Fei's eyes moved. Ancient desolate war axe. He immediately said, "Bring him in." Without saying it, he had forgotten. Zhou Lian still owed him a great desolate war axe. Without waiting for Fu Shishan to call for him, Zhou Lian had already rushed to the backyard, but he was unable to stop her no matter what. "If I don't see Long Fei today, I won't leave." Zhou Lian studied the alloy armor for 2 days with a head full of fog. The more he studied it, the more confused he became, and the more confused he became, he couldn't figure out how exactly this kind of alloy armor was refined. As for artifact forging, he had a bit of a Qigong deviation. TL, Chinese idiom. Qigong meaning Qigong equals 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 Qigong. Long Fei stepped forward and said, "Elder Zhou." When Zhou Lian saw Long Fei, he immediately dashed out of Fu Tianlong's way. Walking in front of Long Fei, he directly said, "How do you want to achieve ideas control?" Equals semi/floating life plus. He didn't ask any questions. The reason he came up was for refining. Long Fei laughed. "You want to know?" Zhou Lian said, "You've been bothering me for the past 3 days. I've almost cracked my brain, but I still can't understand. How exactly did you do it?" Long Fei said, "If you want to know, that's fine, but you have to acknowledge me as your master." 4th8_8419/2356998. You're tuning in to the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.